profoundly disturbing on every possible level. And,
Fight!
welcome back. That was one of the most uncomfortable screenings of my entire life.
It was your life. It was your life.
Yeah. What starts out as like a really fun idea, just like a goof, you know, just that is strikes you in the face like a fucking punch that's gonna come later, I suppose. Gentlemen, that was exceptional. That was such a blast. You know, the first thing that was running through my mind as I'm watching the movie is like, God damn, who taught Keanu how to choreograph action so well? This was spectacular. And I was like, oh, well, you probably know a dude. You probably know a guy.
I know a guy, yeah. Yuen Wu Ping is really amazing action.
So, you've been portraying a complete badass for a long time in a lot of different forms. Do you practice martial arts yourself?
I do not practice any martial arts. I just know movie kung fu.
Now, a question for Tiger. Now, let's say you were going to be facing a wickedly unprepared opponent. Is there any sort of Achilles heel part of your body, any sort of soft spot, weak spot that might be exploitable in the ring? Is that,
He wants to know if you have like a weak spot in terms of like getting hit. You know, like if you were iron body, like where would be the one spot?
It should be somewhere.
I guess you'll have to look for it.
I thought I was being crafty there for a second, but one of my favorite visual moments in the film is the completely wicked black mask outfit. So where did that come from? What's the origin there?
The origin of the black, well, it was tough to find that mask because when you read in a script, you know, a black masked person, you're like, well, what is that? Because that can go really wrong. The black mask. But Joseph Borrell, the costumer, found it's actually Italian. It's an Italian black leather mask, and they have a long tradition of black masks.
Repurposed for other
yeah, no, it's through history. There's been a long line of black mask wearing, so we benefited from that. Yeah, it was kind of tied into the idea of, you know, obviously the dark side, executioner, the end, you know, the final judgment, things of that nature. I wanted to kind of represent in the opening of it.
Well, so I'm watching this movie as it's unfolding, and I'm getting a real sense of golden era Hong Kong action movies. So I wanted to find out maybe what some of your cinematic influences are in bringing this to the screen.
Well, we watched a lot of martial arts films to look at camera positions and editing with Elliot Davis, the cinematographer. We didn't have one particular film. The ambition was to try and have the fight scenes be not action sequences, but dramatic scenes. So that's where, you know, to watch Tiger's character change, and also with all the different styles, and there's a bunch of fights in the film, so I didn't want to have kind of the same fight syndrome, but also as the characters developing, the editing, cinematography's adjusting to the drama. Influences, so we didn't really have one particular, you know, style for that, or one movie, like, okay, what did they do in Fist of Legend? But we certainly looked at some of that, you know, lower angles and things like that. And actually, I was looking more at like Haneke, because I was trying to do a lot more with subjective and objective, breaking the fourth wall, and just the relationship, you know, obviously with the surveillance and all of the monitors. There's a lot going on in terms of that, different perspectives in the film.
And so Tiger, I assume, just like Keanu, you actually don't have any formal martial arts training. Can you speak about your own martial arts experience?
I was start martial art training at 8 years old.
What color is your belt? You have a belt. Did you achieve any merit or awards or?
We didn't have belts.
Yeah. I actually said that once when I was training with Chen Hu. We worked together on the Matrix trilogy. He was part of UN Routines in Action. And a very accomplished stuntman. And I remember we were stretching, because we would stretch for 2 hours before we would do the other stuff. And so I said, so when I met with Chen Hu, I was like, so what belt are you? And he was like, he totally did the like kung fu thing. He was just like, belts are for holding up your pants. You know, and I'm like, right. So you're like up in here somewhere.
All right, I think I'm going to open it up to the crowd. And just so you know, if you've done a Q&A with me before, I reserve the right to veto really stupid questions. So just because it's uttered doesn't mean we're going to answer it. So keep awesome questions. So only raise your hand if you think.
No pressure.
Yeah. All right, right over here.
Keanu, I'd love to hear the process of directing in 2 languages. And as a quick yes, no, have you ever bought a Lamborghini while on the film just by pointing at it?
You know, part of making movies is like wish fulfillment, you know, fantasy. So yeah, just like pointing at a Lamborghini was fun. I'll have that one. In life, no. And let's see, what was the directing? Different languages. Yeah, it was Mandarin and Cantonese. Yeah, I would say it just takes longer, you know. But the important thing is just the communication. So we had translators. You know, having Tiger was great because we developed the project for so many years. We both knew it, you know, pretty well. So it was nice to have him along to sometimes speak with the actors. But it was really just making sure that we could collaborate. You know, just how do you feel about this scene? How do you feel about the dialogue? How do you feel about your costume? And that was just throughout the production. So it was just depending on different translators and just spending the time to make sure that we felt like we were understanding each other.
And I'd like to hereby apologize to the other theater that is having this Q&A simulcast. I've been prepped. I just forget things very easily. I'm supposed to repeat the question so you don't have to guess what the question was halfway through the answer. So to the other theater out there, sorry about that. I'm going to try to keep on my game from here on out. Okay.
There's another theater?
There's actually 75 theaters that are showing this. Radius doesn't know that. We're charging in.
No, I didn't know that other theater league. That's how you roll. So.
I believe I have another question right up here.
It's for Keanu. After kind of doing this for so long, purely as a performer, I'd love to hear what the experience for you was like being on set as the director, watching yourself back on the playback monitor. And was Keanu the director harder or easier on Keanu the actor than most other people you've worked with?
All right, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to encapsulate that. I think Keanu's going to expound upon the experience of Keanu the actor versus Keanu the director. And I should also point out that's Mr. Todd Brown, who's one of the producers of The Raid. So he was very appreciative.
Thank you very much for putting me on the film.
Is the second one in the can? When's it coming?
I can show you some of it later tonight if you like.
Yes! Awesome. Let's see. The first time acting and directing was not a fun day. In the sense that I'd never done it before. So with the objective kind of aspect of being the director and then the subjective experience of playing a role, there is like, okay, now you're here. On that day, the writer was on the set, which was great, and the producer, Limor Sivan. So I would like be the director who knew what was going on, and then I'd be the actor after the performance going, was that okay? What do you think? I mean, should I do like, so I kind of externalized a little bit. Watched a bit of playback. It was actually one of the sequences that I storyboarded. and walked through with the cinematographer because I didn't want to have to think about that on that day. So when we rehearsed, we basically did our shot list, so I knew where the camera was going, and then just did it. And after the next time and the next time, it became the facility, it was easier to do. The weird thing though was like doing a scene with Chen Hu and then like be watching him and then go, do that again. You know, he's like playing a scene with me, but the camera's over here, and I'm like, okay, great, okay, so this time, looking at me like, oh, okay, you're direct, oh, okay. So that's where digital is okay, because it's not a dollar, you know, it's just like, it's okay, you just keep going. But not really. Anyway, so that was a rambling answer.
And so, Todd, I believe that qualifies for your request to see if I could introduce you guys later. So I think I'm fine with that. So another gentleman there.
Tim, it was really nice knowing you.
Yeah, screw you, buddy. I got some moves.
I want to ask, Keanu and Tiger, what did you guys learn from each other on set, like as director and actor?
So the question is, and it's directed at both of our guests here, is what did you learn from each other during the production of this film?
Tiger's bravery. You know, his bravery not only physically, because, you know, we had over 30 days of fighting over the course of 5-day shoot. So physically, his bravery, because it took a toll and a sacrifice. And for him to show up and just to keep going, and it was amazing. And then the bravery and trust to play this role, you know, to take on this journey of this character, and to allow himself the trust in himself as a performer. You know, there's a few moments in the film that I find special, like in the twin fight when he's like, you know, after Donika's saying, you know, what are you afraid of? Don't be, you know, afraid of hurting them. When he just does that thing, when he's coming forward into the, you know, second stage of that fight, you know, that's when he meets the monk inside the tank and he's looking at him up and down. You know, those are just in the moment. You know, the things that just happen. And I just thought it was really cool how Chen Hu allowed that to happen as a performer.
How about you, Mr. Chen Hu? What did you learn from Keanu in the making of this film?
I learned a lot from it. So not only for the movie, for the personality, responsibility. So that's the most important thing I learned from his responsibility.
Oh, we got a Holly. You got a question?
Yes. One, where did you find the Shifu that you worked with, and is this somebody that Chen Hu that you perhaps knew previous to this? Because your on-screen chemistry was really great, and the other part of that is not necessarily related, but I wanted to stop clapping for all of the fights because your character was going on a darker journey, and I didn't want to cheer that on. And maybe that's just me. I mean, it was cool, but I felt bad because you were going down this dark path, and I didn't want to be a part of it, although by watching the film, I was. So, a statement and a question.
That was actually a statement, so we're not going to necessarily address that one. That's the questions and then the question mark part of the. But the other question is totally valid. That's a good question. I was wondering that myself. So the character of the Shifu, your master, who is he? Where did he come from? And do either of you guys have a relationship with him prior?
Yu Hai. You want to talk about Yu Hai?
Yu Hai is he's in the 30 years ago. He's in the Shaolin Temple in the movie with star Jet Li. Jet Li first movie. He's Jet Li's master.
And Yu Hai is a very famous actor. He's played lots of kung fu films, and it was very nice of him to say yes. And he really spoke. He really related to Tiger and their relationship in the film as father-son. You know, he really that was his hook into the character, and it's a subtlety that not necessarily, because oftentimes you know, I kept being told that our master was too like soft. He wasn't like, he had to be harder. He had to be meaner and, you know, more stern. And Yu Hai, excuse me, answered that with the father kind of aspect. Still stern, but paternal, and this other kind of affection. So, you know, I thought their chemistry was great as well.
Awesome. Is there any more questions out there? We got a far back corner, up in the corner.
Yeah, for either one of you, it seemed like a very spiritual film, and I wanted to just ask how much spirituality was a part of the script, and how much was it important for you on set to bring out like a spiritual element to it?
So the question involves spirituality, and how much spirituality was in the script, and maybe how much was important to you guys personally to bring out in the story.
It was so important we made a movie about it. I'm going to ask a quick question. So, you know, we are, I assume everybody is a fan of the Raid. And so, is there going to be a Blu-ray special edition where there's an alternate path, where Tiger does fight Timo, and it's the ultimate fight of all fights? What's that?
It's Eco.
Oh, it's Eco. So,
Timo's a
is
director.
there another?
I know, it's like
alternate takes in it.
Yeah, there is a little more in there. Yeah, I mean, when I'd seen the Raid, and it was really great of Eco to say yes, and he was a gentleman, you know, to come and join us in Hong Kong. It was just before he was to begin his journey on Raid 2, and so it was cool of him to join us. And there is some more fighting in there. I mean, yeah. What else can I say about that? You know, part of it too was, I mean, it's a bad thing to do, but I wanted to have, because in that fight, Tiger starts to run away, which I thought was very touchy.
You might see some more of that this evening.
Be inspired, but anyway, yeah, there is a little bit more, but we won't. Yeah, no, you won't be able to see it though. I can watch it, but you won't be able to see it. Sorry about that.
Any more questions out there? Right here in the front row.
Yeah, that's a great temple. How much of that is a real temple? How much of that is set? And if it's set, what was the inspiration for it?
The question is, wow, that was an awesome temple. And how much of that is set? Is that a real temple, etc.? Question mark.
It's a set. It was built on China Film Group CFG film lot in Huairou, outside of Beijing. So all of the buildings surrounding, like the area behind the temple, the mountains and the trees, that's all CGI. But the set itself we built. Yohei Tanada, the production designer who had worked with the construction at CFG, they had a very good relationship, and because of that, the sets have real foundations and they have real roof. Generally with those kinds of sets they would do a kind of clay or styrofoam or some other, but here we got, you know, it was a real building, and I think you can kind of feel some of the gravity that they hold. They feel different to me than sometimes those kinds of sets can look, and that was cool of the construction, because they just said, we'll give you a real roof, and I was like, yes, yes.
Yeah, and it is a Taoist temple. It's not a Buddhist temple. So.
All right, so we probably have time for a couple more questions. Got any more out there? Oh, right there in the back row, right in the middle.
Keanu, just want to ask you about maybe a future project. Is there any plans for a Wild Stallion reunion?
It's an optional question, so if you want to answer that, you can.
Yeah, we've been trying to do that for a while now. It's like it's going on in Odyssey. There's definitely there have been some drafts of a script, and we're trying to figure out how we can get money to make it. But there's definitely trying to look at that to somehow maybe try and do that maybe we could do it to maybe make a movie.
Is that a movie that anybody would want to watch? That's what I suspected. That's what I suspected right there. Okay, so one last capper closer. Moises, you think you got it? You got the question of all questions?
All right. To both Keanu and Chen Hu. Keanu, what is it about the art of Tai Chi that made it a very compelling focus for the subject of the movie over other martial arts? Is it something in particular about the methodology that attracted you to it more than anything else? And Chen Hu, in the practice of Tai Chi, what is it that makes it stand out against other martial arts?
Okay, so it's a two-question, and I should also tell the other simulcast theater what's the deal with the possible Bill and Ted sequel. And so this question was why Tai Chi? And sorry, I've completely spaced again. Moises, what was the second half for Tiger?
What makes it different or more interesting than other martial arts that you see?
Yes, so you're talking about the debate topic this evening. So what makes Tai Chi more interesting to you as a martial artist? So why Tai Chi? Why more interesting?
Do you want to go first on that, or do you want me to go first on that?
Why is Tai Chi more interesting for me? Tai Chi is more, there's thousands of different styles of Chinese martial arts. But Tai Chi is the one has the most philosophical, and because the training is slow, so everybody thought Tai Chi is just for the old people, it's for the healthy, it's like yoga. But it's not. Tai Chi is martial art. So in Chinese martial philosophy is the fastest speed coming from like slow is, so the higher you coming from the lower. So you want to jump, you have to bend your knee first. So that's why we're training slow. Then slow as you can, then you can fast as you can. So that's why.
You got an answer for your question?
It's
Why?
great for drama.
Yes.
You know, because absolutely, because it has, I mean, iconographically just, black and white. Starting with light and dark, the idea of energy, soft and hard. The film plays with a lot of those motifs in the sense of opposites, winning while you're losing, losing while you're winning, transformation. And so I just thought, and also it was I was inspired by what I know of Tiger's biography, just a little bit of this traditional training, but being a modern guy. And, the film is kind of seeking and to talk about, what are we losing, what are we gaining in the modern world, what can we hold on to from tradition, what are we ignoring, what can we accept, and what else do we got going on there with the Tai Chi? Lots. But so yeah, I'll just start with that.
That was great. Perfect. So I gotta talk a little bit about why we're here. This is a film festival, of course, and part of it is just to enjoy ourselves for these 8 days. But I think we serve a larger purpose here, and one of those purposes is to broadcast awesome movies to a larger audience. And so you guys are early viewers of this film, and it's our job to share this with our friends and to let them know this movie is coming. Because I, for one, want to see more incredible martial arts action movies in the modern era, so it's important that we share that. So this comes out on VOD on September 27th, and it also comes out in theaters on November 11th. So remember those dates.
November 1st. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's good, because you guys had an air of panic in your voices. So for the simulcast theater, they couldn't hear that voice. It was actually November 1st. November 1st is when it comes out in theaters, including this one. So
this is a great theater, by the way. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause for our guests.
Thanks, everyone.
So, if you don't mind, please don't swarm guys as they're leaving. We got to get them out of here and on to the next thing. But thank you guys very much for coming. Tell your friends.